Hi there, and welcome to something a little bit different tonight. I'm joined by Ross, where we are going to discuss Rangers 2-1 defeat in the SPFL away to St Mirren, and what can only be described as yet another abysmal away performance. Just when I think that maybe the support felt there was a bit of momentum, a bit of support growing behind the team. But Ross, before we dig into the bones of this, what's your overall initial thoughts on the away performance in Paisley today?
Yeah, it's a tough one, Kel. I think I just said there before we came live that I felt like I had all my thoughts kind of in place for doing this after the game when it was 1-1. I obviously wasn't happy with the result, but I felt like I had a good view of the game. That goal going in is a bit of a sucker punch. I'm just scunnered again with Rangers that you think you're in a place where you can start to build a little bit of momentum. And I think we all know that this league is going to be very, very difficult to claw back. In fact, I was going as far and say the league's gone, right? But
yeah,
results like last week, you try and look at it and you go, look, that gives us an opportunity to put some pressure on. Let's try and build a bit of momentum, focus on ourselves. And again, the second half, I'm sure we'll get into the game, we'll go through it. The second half, Rangers were better and probably showed a lot of the good things they've shown in recent weeks. But the first half, they were abysmal. And this is the problem you've got. You can't have halves of football like that. You're going to drop points. How many times have we seen that this season? You're going to drop points in games like that. St Mirren, I think there's been games through the season where you've maybe looked at the opposition sometimes and felt, oh, they maybe had a good spell in the game. I actually thought St Mirren were poor as well, to be honest with you. I mean, their goal comes from a complete hoof up the park, and Jack Butland's had an absolute brain fart, right? And he's made a mistake. And these things happen in football, right? You've got to try and recover. We didn't really in the first half. We did in the second, but ultimately it's not enough. And I think it just comes back to that point again. Style of football really poor in the first half. And it's just not something I think we can build on going forward. So, yeah, I've maybe jumped ahead a little bit there, Keller. I apologise. I think we're just all at this stage with Rangers where we're just scunnered. You think you're starting to build something and you get a result of that. Fair play to St Mirren. They stuck in the game in the second half. It wasn't easy for them. They kept the game alive and they've got the rewards at the end. And unfortunately, we've been punished again. And yeah, this feeling feels all too familiar at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of how a lot of people are feeling at the minute. What I'll do is, I said, I'll run through the team lineup. We'll go through some of the sort of major talking incidents in the first half, and then at the end of it, there are some big, proper talking points maybe you want to discuss at the end of the game. But I always ask this question, and maybe with hindsight, I think I know what a lot of people's answers are going to be in this. But Rangers line up with Butland in goal, Tav, Balagon, Sterling, Jefte, Barron, Diomande, Cherny, Bayrami, Hadji, and Eagleman. I'll be honest, I'll put my hands up. I had no qualms with this lineup when it came out, especially I thought it was actually quite an astute move from Clement. Starting Balagon not proper, given that we do know that he got absolutely ragdolled at Ibrox by Olisanya up front. What was your initial thoughts on that lineup? Is it changed with hindsight?
Oh, it's definitely changed with hindsight. Yeah, I can't lie. I'll be honest and say that I was very similar to yourself. When I first looked at the lineup, I thought, okay, maybe expected to see Raskan play, but understand it. Maybe needs a bit of time out. And I think Clement spoke in his pre-match interview saying essentially if he was booked tonight, he misses the game against Celtic. So I understand why these decisions are made. I think that what that has probably shown tonight is we are not good enough to rotate. Simple as that. Rangers need to play their best team every single game and have to deal with the consequences of that. So if players pick up injuries, unfortunately, they come out, someone else comes in. But we can't be going into games where you're trying to, manage certain players. I just think you've got to play your best team and go with it. Now, if someone's running into the ground completely and the sports science teams are screaming saying you cannot play them, they're going to pick up an injury, absolutely fine, I get it. But I don't think that would have been the case for Arascan tonight. And looking back, I think we just have to be honest with ourselves and say we don't have the depth. We don't have the depth because that first half, I don't think Nadim Barami has been bad for Rangers at all. I think he struggled a little bit with playing out on the left and playing out on number 10. He's really not getting that kind of flow you would expect. But he just could not get into the game at all. And I think you've seen in recent weeks that Danilo's made an impact in that position. So he's probably got to play. And funnily enough, the goal is a Rasgan assist for Danilo. So it's just funny how these things set themselves up sometimes. So yeah, I think in hindsight we would probably have to look back now, and hopefully this is something the manager learns from. I've been saying that a lot this season, but yeah, I think we don't have the quality at the moment to rotate. The best team we can play week in, week out, and that's it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do find it mental. I just think from a footballing point of view, you've got to be playing your best team week in, week out. I just, I'm sure we'll get into the formation and by Rami starting, and I don't know why we haven't started with two strikers, albeit maybe if one of those strikers was Cyril Dessers, I don't know what the reaction would have been, but we know that it's been working quite well of late. I'm unsure why Danilo started. It didn't start as well. I don't know why he didn't get more. It's been working. I don't know why you would change tactics that have been successful in the past games, especially against the low block in teams exactly like St Mirren. But the first sort of major talking point of the game, which affected us massively, and I suppose this will lead off into a few tangents of a few things, but it was Leon Balagon getting injured after 11 minutes. I was gutted to see it happening in front, is it unfolding on TV. He actually did really well to recover his run and stop the St Mirren boy getting a shot on target. But how big a blow is this going to be, and how much does this highlight Rangers' utter lack of options at centre back at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, this one is just a difficult one to take. I think it just highlights again why are Rangers in a position where you are having to rely on a 36-year-old centre back that we have known for 3 years now. Has struggles to stay fit, struggles to play consecutive games, needs time out of the side. Now, he has been rotated in recent weeks, Leon Balagon, but this was always going to happen. He was always going to pick up an injury at some point, and unfortunately he's picked up in the first 10 minutes tonight. Do you know what as well? Fair play to him, because he was clearly in a lot of pain, should I say, and he recovers and he makes a tackle and he clears it out, and I do love that bit of desire from Leon Balagon, but unfortunately we need a wee bit more than that. We need someone to be fit week in, week out that can play. And I mean, look at our centre-back pairing tonight. You've got Dujon Sterling, who was asked to play on the left-hand side of a back four, when I think you're even asking him, it's a wee bit out of his comfort zone to play on the right-hand side of a back four, and central defence. You then ask him to play on the left-hand side. Then Proper comes on, you move him back to the right. So you're looking at a right-back playing centre-back, and you're looking at Robin Proper, who I think a lot of people feel is not good enough to be a starting centre-back from Rangers. That's the options we have right now. And the club only have themselves to blame. We've put ourselves in that position. Leon King's not even on the bench tonight, so I don't know what's going on there. This is supposed to be our best prospect at centre-back for a long, long time, and he can't even get in the bench. So I thought, that's maybe the time when you bring this guy on. But yeah, Kale, sore one again, and it does, fill me dread going into the next two fixtures. Motherwell away is not going to be easy, as shown tonight, struggling away from home, and Celtic at Ibrox on the second. Going into that with Dujon Sterling, Robin Proper as your centre-back option, how confident are you? I have to say I'm not very, because they've got the quality up front to punish us. So yeah, that just rubs salt into the wounds a little bit, isn't it, Leon Balagon tonight?
Yeah, unless Rangers have got a centre-back coming in at 9 a.m. on the 1st of January ready to be registered.
It's like Fabio Silva when he was signed at like the 30th last year or something, mind. Aye.
That's exactly it. But more to your point, a couple of comments coming in here agreeing with you. Look, Gibson97 says it's our own fault for relying on an injury-prone 36-year-old. And Hugo Bear here says there's no centre halves in the B team, which kind of goes to your Leon. I just find it utterly bizarre what's happened to him. I mean, if you remember, I know even when he was partners with James Sands, he still looked okay at times in there. And, was there not like Liverpool and Newcastle meant to be keeping an eye on him? It's just all it's fallen by the wayside for him, which is a real shame. But yeah, Rangers definitely need to sort out the centre half situation soon. Next major talking point, 29 minutes. I think there was a wee comment here from Sid, if I can find it, and it just says, what is Butland thinking? I think that speaks for us all. Cannot defend this at all, but it's a penalty all day long to St Mirren. what do you think this was? Is this just Butland maybe having a lack of confidence in the defence in front of him? Because it's rare that I've seen him make mistakes like that before. I don't even know what he was trying to do. I mean, he just clattered into the ball. I mean, I will say, I think he made an attempt to get the ball. That's obviously why he wasn't given the red card in the game. But I don't know. I can't even rationalise why you would make a decision like that. Is it just, is it a mental thing that he's worried about? Is the defence in front of him?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think, first of all, I'll say I have no idea why VAR looked at that for so long. It's the clearest penalty you're ever going to see. He gets nowhere near the ball and he absolutely clatters the boy. So, again, a weird one in that perspective. I think Jack Butland panics here. I think he's made a poor decision. He's came off his line. I think he thinks the ball's going further. He comes off his line and he's committed too far. And I think he thinks the boy's getting set to just dink it over him. Now, I can't remember looking back at the pictures. I don't know if Robin Proper or Dujon Sterling would recover and clear that off the line. I'm not sure. But he's obviously just panicked and thought he's just going to dink it over me here and there's a good chance it's going in. So he thought, I need to just commit myself. And unfortunately, he's late. I really don't think there's any more to it, to be honest with you, Kyle. I just think it's a really, really poor decision. It's something we don't see a lot from Jack Butland, but unfortunately, he's made a mistake and we haven't been able to dig him out a hole. At times Jack Butland has made a lot of, ridiculous saves for us and saved us in games and he's got his points at the end of the day. And I'm, tonight you're hoping that the rest of the team dig him out of it. He's made a mistake and these things happen. And unfortunately we didn't do it. But yeah, overall, it's one of those things in football. Sometimes, you make a mistake, comes out, he commits himself and I think he just panics. He panics and unfortunately he gets absolutely nowhere near the ball. Stonewall penalty. God, struggling there. Stonewall penalty, and it's a good finish in the boy as well. It's a good penalty. So yeah, unfortunately, wrong side of that one.
Yeah, it was just a goal that I feel like I've said this about a million times this season with Rangers that was entirely preventable. Even somebody just preventing the ball coming in a wee bit further up the pitch. Just I don't know what was going on with it.
Do you know what makes it worse? Kyle, it's just a hoofed ball over the defence. Like it's a nothing ball. It's nothing. And Rangers are turned and they're running back towards their own goal, and then you've got something like that happening. It's so frustrating because I've not watched a lot of St Mirren this season, right? So I might be doing them a disservice. But tonight it looked like they were kind of playing that style, right? It was very much about long balls, winning seconds, trying to really disrupt Rangers, not let them play. And that's fine, right? Any team's allowed to play however they want. But I think we're on the break before it, and then they've just cleared it long, and they're in through on goal, and Butland makes that mistake. It's just, we always seem to give away these type of chances or these type of goals where you feel like there's not a lot of threat in the game, and then suddenly you're a goal down. It's just how many times are we going to say this before it's corrected? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what we just need to be a bit more switched on. That's all it is. Then half time came. Baron by Rami both substituted off. Raskin and Danilo coming on, who I don't think you would find a Rangers fan that would disagree that was the correct subs to make during this time, because they did make a difference in the game for me. The next sort of 10 minutes, Rangers could have had about 5 goals, I think, in this. Danilo got a couple of chances, but and I'll pass my praise. I've actually written this in my notes here. I actually felt St Mirren at times were defending pretty well, throwing their bodies in front of stuff. Maybe something I'd like to see our defence doing a wee bit more now and again. But Danilo finally got in the score sheet 1-1 with as you said, a Raska pass and he volleys it into the bottom corner. This was all Rangers deserved at this point.
Yeah, look, fair play to the manager in this instance. He made the changes. I think we've seen at times that he's quite slow to make those changes, but he made them at halftime straight away. I don't think Conor Barron was bad in the first half at all, to be honest with you. I think he just thought we needed a change. Raskin had to come in, and he's shown in recent weeks how good he is. Same with Bayrami. I felt a little bit bad for him in the first half. He couldn't get into the game, and the reason why he couldn't get into the game was we were just playing long ball. What's your number 10 going to do in a situation where you're just shelling the ball long every single time? You're kind of asking them to win seconds. So That might be a bit of a controversial opinion, but I don't think Barami was that bad either. I just thought all round, we as a collective, we were poor in that first half. But I can't argue with the substitutions. He brought Danilo on. That was the obvious place to put him. And yeah, I thought Rangers started the second half really well, actually. I said it just a couple of minutes before we scored. You could feel the goal was coming. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
We were knocking on the door. St Mirren were defending well, but we were starting to open them up a little bit more. Started to kind of move the ball side to side, which we didn't see a lot in the first half. And yeah, look, I'm glad we got that goal at that time. Raskin knocks it down. It's good for Ashton Devilo. There was a chance either just before it or just after it from Iga Man where he plays a 1-2 with Czerny. I think it might be just after that. So, you know, you felt that the chances were there for Rangers to take the game, and yeah, we haven't, unfortunately.
Yes, we'll come on to it, but it was an absolute shocker. But the rest of the half, Rangers kept pushing. For me, it's something I'll ask you about after we discuss the goal that ended up defeating Rangers. But it's just, I don't know, we just can't cope very well with a bit of pressure, and it was the same discussion I had last week with Craig at the Dundee game. It was the decision making in the final third was just, it's just not there. There's sometimes I'm going, why are we making that pass? There's better options to choose. But yeah, Rangers around I can't even remember what minute it was, 93rd plus minute. Again, we maybe got a hint of this earlier on with Robin Proper not dealing that well with having the ball at his back to goal. Raskin coming in and bailing him out big time, but this time it's Dujon Sterling on the right hand side of that centre back pairing. This time he loses the ball, gets caught up in his legs. The St Mirren boy runs forward. For me, Proper should possibly be dealing with this when the ball comes into the box. I just think his positioning's terrible. But again, I find it really hard to say anything other. It was a good layoff and it was a good goal, but extremely frustrating, extremely preventable from a Rangers point of view, Ross.
Yeah, again, you're right to highlight the kind of Robin Proper incident, maybe like 5 minutes before, where he's caught in possession. He's trying. I don't know what he's doing in that situation where you've got control of the ball. The ball's behind you. The boy's behind you. Sorry, just deal with it. Play it forward. He tries to take an extra kind of a feint, and he gets caught. Dujon Sterling, I think it's a good tackle, to be honest with you, from the forward, but I think once he progresses kind of out wide, you've just got to stop the ball coming into the box, because St Mirren don't have the bodies forward, right? So stop the ball coming into the box. Don't give them an opportunity to create anything. We don't do that. Robin Proper's probably caught the other side of the penalty spot. And yeah, I have to say it's a great finish. I'd love if we were that ruthless in those times of the game where you just smash into the bottom corner. So yeah, I don't like saying it, but it's a really good finish from the St Mirren boy. And yeah, I just, again, why we've put ourselves in that position, it's really difficult to swallow at this point, where you think you're starting to build a wee bit of momentum again with this Rangers team, and St Mirren take all 3 points. But look, I said earlier on in the podcast, you have to give credit sometimes to the opposition. They keep themselves in the game. They make it difficult for Rangers, and sometimes you get your rewards like that. Do I think that St Mirren deserve to win the game? No, I don't. But you always give yourself a chance if you can stay in it and make it difficult. And, I think with that first half performance we had tonight, I don't think we've done enough to win it. And unfortunately, we can't be having that. You can't be going to away grounds in Scotland and not looking like the better team. And in that first half, we didn't. So, yeah. Bit of a sucker punch that you don't come out with at least a point, but I'm never going to sit on this podcast and say that's good enough anyway, because it's not. So yeah. Unfortunately, we've lost all 3 tonight, and yeah, puts us even further back.
Yeah, look, a couple of questions just before we wrap it up. I mean, not that I'm expecting us to solve Rangers issues on this podcast, but I think it always helps to talk about them. Luke Gibson here preempted me a wee bit. He says the mentality of our players is so poor. Playing for Rangers is just a job to them. If they lose, I don't think it hurts them like it does us. Is there something in that statement? Do Rangers struggle with the mental side of the game, especially in that first half? I just don't think we coped very well with going that goal down in the first half. Is it And then even there's an argument, is it, mentally weak to concede a goal that late on? Because I mean, one thing from a Rangers team I expect is your concentration levels to stay 100% through the duration of the full game. That wasn't there on a couple of occasions. So is it a mentality thing? That's what I'm getting to hear, Ross.
It's definitely a mentality thing. There's no doubt you look at the two teams tonight and you're picking Rangers side for the better quality, as it should be, by the way, where our budget is way bigger than St Mirren's is ever going to be. So, that's not being derogatory towards St Mirren at all. We should be showing up. We should have the better quality player, and they should have the mentality to come into these games and dominate and put their, stamp their authority in the game and go and earn a victory. And they didn't do that in that first half. They showed up. Understand it's around Christmas time, cold evening in Scotland, whatever, and they just didn't look up for it at all. And I think that's the most disappointing thing for me, because when we have had, a good run of performances, not results, but a good run of performances, you're thinking, okay, you've now got an opportunity here with 2 away games. Go and show everyone how good you are. You've been able to show it in recent weeks that there are performance levels there that we've not seen. Go out, play against this St Mirren side, continue to do all the good things you've been doing in recent weeks, and you'll get the result. And I just thought tonight we showed up and there was an expectation that we would go and win the game. And you've got to earn it. You've got to earn it. And they didn't in that first half. And unfortunately, that just bleeds into the rest of the game. And how many times have we seen with Rangers over the years? It's not just this season. See, when you give sides in the SPFL the goal advantage, it is difficult to get back it, because they stay in the game changes. St Mirren sat back a little bit more. They were like letting Rangers have possession, and we've seen in recent times that Rangers struggle in those instances. So yeah, the comment is completely right. In my opinion, it is a mentality problem. There's been a mentality problem at Rangers for a good 2 or 3 years now. How do we change that? I don't know, because we've had several managers try to come in and change that, and I don't think this manager's doing very well on that. That kind of situation as well. So yeah, it's definitely a mentality problem. I would expect Rangers to go into these games and show a wee bit of ruthlessness. I would expect to see a similar type of performance you would see in a European away game, where those Rangers players look up for it and they really want to prove themselves. I don't see that same level of desire in domestic, and unfortunately, that's what comes with playing for Rangers. You got to dominate domestically. It's not good enough in Europe. You got to do both. And we're not seeing that.
Yeah, no, that was the thing as well. I thought it maybe being Thursday, maybe they might have shown up given the day of the week. But listen, there's a few other comments coming in here. Daz says that's what happens when we don't take our chances. Hugo Bear says we lack characters who play to win. Luke Gibson 97 says these teams give more effort than us. It's their cup final. I want to go back to a wee comment that came in at the start of the podcast from Pete Lawrence here, and he says, just when I thought Hadji's looking stronger, he was thrown about like a rag doll. Now, I don't want to pick out Hadji specifically for this, but I did feel that Rangers at times were underestimating the physicality of St Mirren. I certainly think the referee was quite lenient on some of the fouls that were going about as well. But did Rangers just underestimate how physical St Mirren would be? Because there was a couple of times I just remember the one with the boy in Eagleman where he just kind of stopped and he went and he sort of clattered into the back of him, and there was a couple of times, you know what you're getting with Alex Gogic, he's just going to throw people about and use his strength. Did we underestimate that tonight?
That's difficult to say, I suppose. I thought there was at times, I thought Eagleman showed, a little bit of physicality in the second half at times. I think overall this Rangers team probably do lack a little bit of physicality. I thought maybe Hadji summarises that perfectly, because I thought in that second half it was screaming out for Oscar Cortez on that left-hand side. And Oscar Cortez has been back in the squad for 2 weeks now. So see if we're talking about he's not ready to start games and he needs time to build up. Well, you need to give him minutes to build him up. So is that not the time where you throw an Oscar Cortez on in the last 15, 20 minutes on that left-hand side? You leave Jefte on at left back, you bring a Cortez on, you change the approach, because Hadji's a type of creative player, no real pace around him, but you bring on a winger in Cortez who's just going to drive and try and create something out of nothing. Maybe that would have helped us from a physical point of view. I thought on the right-hand side tonight, I thought Cherry was poor. to be honest with you. I just thought his decision making was poor. I just thought his touch was off, and when you don't have any kind of wide threat, it's very difficult to break teams down, because Jeffy wasn't really able to get into the game at all. And I thought when Ridvan came on, he was atrocious. You know, I like Ridvan, but oh my, he couldn't find a man. He just could not find a pass at all. So physicality, that's probably something that goes through this Rangers team, unfortunately, and they're going to have to address that. I just think the substitutions tonight probably didn't have the impact that we wanted. I come back to it, Gail. The first half tonight set the tone, didn't it? It's hard to recover in games when that's the type of performance you produce in the first half. So, unfortunately, they're in that position again where they kind of get what they deserve, because they don't go on and kill this game when they have the chance to. And that's that early second half. So, maybe a bit harsh picking Hadji out, because I think overall they were all pretty poor. But I certainly agree with the physicality aspect. That's something that Rangers have been lacking for a while. And actually, not to go too off topic, but I think that was why a lot of people really enjoyed Abdallah Sima last season, because he wasn't a player that maybe had the technical quality of a lot of players that we've had in the past, but he had the physical. He could deal with this league, and that's why he was so effective here. And I think a player like that tonight maybe would have made a bit of a difference for us on that left-hand side. But it's a tough one to take.
Yeah, and listen, just one last question before we wrap it up here, and I know we sort of touched on it, but Robin Proper, I felt, just does not inspire confidence throughout our team. I felt that maybe, that's been an issue for the past sort of couple of games, has been the centre-back partnership. I mean, I don't know. There was a comment earlier on. I'll see if I can find it. There it is. It's from A. He says, "Where's the centre back we signed from Milan, and how bad is he?" I mean, it's not. I mean, it's obviously an area that Rangers identified in the summer that they needed to just strengthen. I mean, could Rangers be doing a lot worse than chucking Clinton and Ciala in there? Maybe that's a bit of a loaded question, but I mean, the St Johnstone game in particular stuck out for me. The last time we played St Mirren, he got hooked after 45 minutes because he could not cope with a bit of physicality up front. As I've seen a lot of comment on it on social media, so just to get your reaction to Robin Proper, and I mean, is he a guy that should be sticking around the club?
Well, I think if there's an offer for Robin Proper, I think the club should take it. But unfortunately, I don't think there will be an offer. It's always the case when you've got a player that you don't think is good enough and doesn't produce, then why would anyone buy them? Do you know what I mean? Unless someone in the Eredivisie is going to look for a cheap deal because they know he's done it over there before, maybe. But Rangers are probably going to take a loss, and they might not feel it's worth it at this stage. You might as well keep him around. Robin Proper's it's a strange one, because I actually think in European football he doesn't look out of place. It's weird. He looks really confident and comfortable in European football, but domestic football, I think, because he's just coming up against forwards that are going to either look to stretch the game in behind, they're going to try and run in behind him constantly, or they're just ready for the physical battle. There's not really an in-between. They're either someone that's big and strong and they're going to get touch tight and they're going to really make it difficult for him physically, or they're going to spin him and run him behind. And unfortunately, he's slow, and the physical game he's not really got it. And I thought at times tonight, again, he looks a little bit all over the place. And that one in the second half where he's kind of done well to get the possession and get out of kind of danger, and then he looks to take another feint, and with that feint the boy just takes the ball off him. It's like he feels he's got more time than he's actually got. You've won the ball, just play it, move back into position, but he wants a wee bit more time. So Robin Proper is, I mean, this is the problem we've got. He will play every single game now. We don't have anyone else, and this comes back to the club's recruitment. It's not good enough in that area, and there's no if buts, maybes, whatever. They're going to have to go into January, and they're going to have to buy a centre-back. I said it in the summer, we need a centre-back. Yep. I said it. We need a centre-back where we don't have enough depth there, especially if we clearly don't believe in Leon King, right? It's obvious. If we believed in Leon King, he would be in and around it in these times, because we've got a shortage of centre-backs. What we're deciding to do is we're playing Dujon Sterling, who's a right-back, as a centre-back, and then you're playing Robin Proper, who no one fancies, at the other side. So Clearly, he's not fancied Leon King. So we're going to have to go into the market, and they're going to have to do it, like you said, really early on. And unfortunately, in January, if you're going to look to make a permanent signing, you're usually paying over the odds. But that's the position we've put ourselves into, and they're going to have to rectify it when it comes to January. But yeah, overall on the point, Kale, yeah, Robin Proper, I think we've all seen now, he's no good enough. He's no good enough. And I understand why we moved on Connor Goldson from a financial point of view, 37 grand a week. And, you know, we're trying to bring the wage bill down. As we're talking about the AGM, we highlight that. Look, the wage bill is billed down by 6 million, things like that. And I've seen Niels Coppin getting some praise for that. But the players that have replaced the players that were here are not better.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get praise for lowering the wage bill if the players come in aren't as good as the one you had. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I think we can all probably look at it honestly now and say Connor Goldson is probably a level above Robin Proper. We moved him on for financial reasons. That's fine. But they're going to have to go into the market again and try and replace the centre back that they replaced Connor Goldson with, because he's not good enough.
Yeah, again, I think that's entirely fair comment what you're saying. There's a few comments coming in here just to wrap it up. Dodd says Proper has his faults, but he ain't the blame for tonight. The ball players in the team, i.e. the midfield and the attack, should have the balls to wipe St Mirren out any day if they are Rangers players. Hugo Bayer here says we are signing the wrong type of players. Daz says January things must happen. It's not good at all. And Pete Lawrence here, I'll give him the final word, and it says, and I think this is all a very fair comment, a miscalculation from the recruitment, totally not suited to Scottish football. And I always did find it weird that we went from a Panamanian, 21-year-old or 23-year-old, whatever he was, centre half, up and coming, and then just 2 days later we're signing a 31-year-old from the Netherlands. But listen, that just about wraps it up. I'm sure we'll be back. We'll be back giving reaction to the Motherwell game. Thank you everybody for tuning in and sticking with us. Hope you can at least enjoy the rest of your festive break, but we'll see you all again soon, and take care.